I'm Theresa Borg, and today I'd like to give a short talk about how the mind programs. Your brain is a biological supercomputer, and just like your computer at home, it can only display what has been programmed into it. So if I've only got Windows 7 on my computer, that's all it can display. I can pray, I can cry, please God give me Windows 10, but unless I or somebody else programs that onto it, it cannot display Windows 10. It's pure physics. Your brain is the same. So whatever you have had programmed or you program into it, and we program by language, that is all that your brain can play out, and that's all that you will see in your life. So for example, if you've always been told you're stupid or you're wrong or you're clumsy, you will have a very strong program for that, which will be continuously reinforced in your life because all the computer can play out. All I can see in my life is experiences that make me feel clumsy or stupid. Even if I've knocked over a glass, for example, if I don't have that sort of programming, let's say we're in a posh restaurant, then it will just be an accident and I'll clear it up. But if I've got programming that, oh my God, I'm so stupid, why did I do that, why does it always happen to me, then I've just reinforced that programming even more. I'll see it through the perception of that belief. So obviously our behaviour follows our thoughts. So for example, if it's a really important business meeting and I'm already nervous, I've got this belief program running that I'm stupid or I'm clumsy, already my hands are going to be shaking, aren't they, when I go to pick up my glass. Therefore I am more likely, because the physiology is following the brain, I'm more likely to knock over the glass and therefore reinforce my perception. Look, see, why am I so clumsy and stupid? So we think it's seeing is believing. See, I told you I was clumsy, but it's not. It's believing is seeing. My beliefs affect my physiology, and therefore because all of the programs are on my brain, that's all my computer can play out, I am going to see the matching patterns. I'm going to see myself play out that program of being clumsy. So it doesn't mean you're wrong, it doesn't mean you're bad, it means you've got some faulty programming that needs attention. If my computer is full of viruses and starts to stop working, it's no good sitting there crying about it. Oh no, I've done this many times. What you need to do is get somebody who can fix it for you, to take off the virus and to overwrite the programming. And so that's what we really should be thinking about in our lives, not how we are, we're bad, we're wrong, we're this and that, but actually if you like your programming, fabulous, and if you don't, then change it. And change is easy, except for those people who have the program that change is difficult, and lots of us have that belief. So the next thing we need to understand about the brain is that it works by association. So it puts things together, we get things attached. So in my book, Tour the Core, Pathway to a Positively Joyous Life, the example I give is, let's take an apple. Now, I don't have a picture as such of apple in my head. I put together an identikit picture. So I recognise something that's red, maybe green, certain size, certain shape, maybe smell, taste, touch, all of that kind of stuff. I put all of that information together in my brain, which creates a neural net, a knot or a web or a file, if you want to say that, for apple. Now, if I was, let's say I was 5 and I was naughty at school and the teacher threw an apple at my head and I became humiliated and cried and everybody laughed at me, into that neural net of apple, or into the file, now comes humiliation, people laughing at me, schools, even teachers. And let's say now I'm 45 and I've forgotten that experience. What I'll end up doing with is saying things like, oh, I can't eat apples, don't know what it is about them, make me feel really ill. Well, what I'm actually saying is, with my file, when my file opens for apple, humiliation comes up with it subconsciously because the whole neural net is accessed. And therefore, who wants to feel humiliated every day? So I will avoid apples. So every time we access a neural net, we access the whole neural net. That's why every time you see somebody, you have a whole history, a whole story about them, a whole neural net about them that is going to colour your view of them. Not consciously. As they walk through the door, I see, oh, okay, here's my sister, and I have a whole story about her, my beliefs about her, what I believe she thinks about me, and all of the experiences that we've had together that puts together the story, his story of my sister. So we're never actually seeing this moment now, we're never actually seeing the present. Look at the word present. It already tells us we're seeing something that came before that was present. So really thinking about that is key. Am I actually seeing that person today? Am I actually seeing reality? Because very often we're not even seeing reality as such. We're seeing through the filters and the perceptions of our mind. So if there was an accident here, for example, the police would tell you, you'd get 10 different examples, 10 different stories and descriptions about what happened, because you're going to be seeing it through the filters of your perceptions and beliefs. So if, for example, I may have a stereotype and maybe somebody in my family was killed by a drink driver, if that person steps out of the car, I might already be predestined to be thinking, have they had a drink? So how the brain works is, how the mind works is quite simple once you know how it works. So it's really important that you understand. So how do we get programmed? So in the womb, for example, you are the material, if you like, of the mother. There is no separation between you and the mother. You are, for all intents and purposes, the mother, and you will experience everything that mother experiences, because as she feels pain or upset or whatever it may be, joy even, that goes through the placenta into the baby. The baby's brain is already forming, and therefore the brain is already starting to pick up what the world is like, what a person is like. Now let's say if we use a domestic violence situation, for example, and the mother's being beaten and living in fear, that baby is already starting to be programmed with the world is a scary place. 18 months, up until 18 months, 2 years, a baby cannot recognise itself as separate, as a separate being. If it looks into the mirror, it doesn't understand that that reflection is actually it. So for all intents and purposes, you are your mother, you are your father, you are everyone in that environment. So if we use the domestic violence situation again, we can see that the child is learning, this is what it feels like to be male or female. This is how women behave. This is how men behave. This is what I must do. This is what happens. This is what life is. So obviously that brain is going to be already starting to be programmed with, you know, men attack women, women are victims, all of that kind of stuff. The next important period is really continues up until 7, because up until 7 you're just recording like a sponge. And if you think about a mother bear and its cub, if that cub doesn't absolutely follow and take on board everything that mother bear teaches it, it will not survive. Its survival depends on trusting that that mother loves it unconditionally, knows absolutely what it's doing, is telling it the absolute truth, and always has its best interests at heart. Now, unfortunately, lots of us are damaged children, becoming damaged parents, becoming damaged grandparents, and so on and so on. And again, there's no blame about that, but you know, we are continuously programming perhaps not the best things without realising what we're doing. So we are still, you know, to some degree have that animal instinct, that animal brain within us, and so we are biologically programmed to believe and to copy and to not question that everything those parents teach us are important to hold on to, are true, are in our best interests, and absolutely we must do and believe to survive. So depending on how great your parents was, and again there's no blame on that, it depends what your programming was. The next really important period is 11 to 18. Let's just call that puberty, because in that period the brain starts, it's collected so much information, it starts to think about what is important to hold on to. So I could think, okay, this birthday party when I was 5, do I need to hang on to that to the future? Is that really going to be important? Am I going to learn anything by that? Is that going to keep me safe? Well, obviously the answer is no. So that sort of seeps way, way down into the subconscious. Nothing is lost, because all information is valid. No information is ever lost from the system. But I don't need to have that in the forefront of my mind. If I do deep hypnosis, I could bring that back in somebody. But, usually that sinks way, way down and we forget it. The time I put my hand in the fire, do I need to have that ready at the top of the pile, if you like, ready to be able to access that to keep me safe? Well, obviously the answer is yes, isn't it? And what we end up with is, in some ways, a negative brain, because it's always trying to keep us safe, to protect us. And we learn most from those negative experiences, from our traumas, from the things that, were dangerous but we survived. And so we end up with a more negative brain. So that's the way that we get programmed. And obviously, once you're 7, or once you're at school and you've got other people programming you, and before 7, you don't have the critical ability to go, well, hang on a minute, that doesn't make sense, or that doesn't happen in somebody else's house. It's only after that happens. And so everything, whether it's positive for you or negative for you, gets programmed, gets taken as read as such. So let's go back to the mind. That's how you get programmed. Again, we're continuously programming by language. Everything is suggestion. Everything. I'm suggesting things to you now. A poster is a suggestion. An advert is a suggestion. And we are continuously being programmed, and what you allow in will be measured against the beliefs and perceptions that are already there. Does this fit with my beliefs and my values and my morals? If yes, I will take it on board. If not, I may reject it. So let me give you an analogy that really makes it clear about the programming of the brain as such. So let's imagine you're coming to my house, and I have a very thin, narrow path from my gate to my house, to my door. And let's say that path is made of mud. Now I have a bike, so I'm in and out all day, every day, up and down that path. It's very narrow, so there's only one way to go really. And I make a rut in the mud. Okay, we're going to call that the rut of negative thinking. Now the way that works in the brain is that, as I've said, as we put things together, as we have experiences and are told things, etc., we build neural nets in the brain, webs, knots, files, whatever you want to call them. So every time, if you like, I go up and down my path, I'm reinforcing that rut, deepening that rut. Every time I access that file, let's say because I'm stupid or I'm clumsy, that gets reinforced. And like on your computer, the file that you use the most, or the program you use the most, comes straight to the top of the menu. And so that becomes my habitual first thought. Oh, I'm clumsy, I'm stupid, I'm bad, I'm wrong, anything that you want to say there. Now, so if I want to become a positive thinker, an optimist, let's say, and this represents a pessimist, what I have to do is stop using this neural net. Like if I stop using my mud path, the wind and the rain would cover it over on its own. I don't have to go and shovel dirt into it. Erosion. The wind and the rain will cover it over on its own. And that relates to a phrase that we have, use it or lose it. If I build this beautiful bicep here and then I don't go to the gym for a long time, I lose it. And the same with the brain. So if I don't use this neural net, if I don't keep telling myself I'm stupid or I'm wrong and all of that kind of stuff, the neural net will come apart. However, like Einstein said, nature abhors the void. So it will not leave, especially the brain, it's valuable resource. It will not leave a space. So if I don't fill that space with something positive, i.e. build a new positive neural net in its place, then actually what happens is that neural net starts to come back together again, and I'll start to see how wrong and stupid and clumsy I am. So, if I don't want to leave my house by the mud path anymore, I've got some beautiful grass here. So let's say I start to go, right, I'm going to change from a pessimist to an optimist. So I change my bike. I remember before I even open the door that I've got to go across the grass. I'm not leaving the property that way anymore. So I put my bike down and face the grass. And if all day, every day, I pedal across the grass to leave the property, because underneath grass is mud, eventually I'll make a rut in the grass, and we'll call that the rut of positive thinking. What that really means is I've stopped using the negative neural net and it starts to come apart, and in its place I rebuild it with a big positive neural net of, I am in control of my thoughts, I am in control of my behaviour, whatever I want to reprogram it with. And as long as all day, every day, I'm saying those positive things to myself, reprogramming the brain, overwriting the negative programs, I must become a positive thinker, an optimist. I must become happier and healthier in regard to whatever belief I've put in there. It's pure physics. Do the work, get the results. Don't do the work, go back to the old programming. And that's why sometimes we can hold these things for a while, and then if we start to let it go, we start to forget to practice, we don't do the work, suddenly we're back to square one again. So it's really important. Affirmations are really important. And affirmations are not airy-fairy, kind of sayings, magic, woo-woo things. They're pure physics. The brain programs by language, and by using a repeated phrase over and over again, you're programming the brain, and therefore, or building the neural net, however you want to say it. So a fabulous way to do that is the band exercise. So you can get a hairband or, some sort of nice band, because you're worth it. And how it works is, say like I'm that person who believes they're clumsy and stupid. So I've knocked over the glass in the restaurant, and I'm starting to, the thoughts, excuse the pun, start to cycle. Oh my God, why do I always do it? I'm so stupid, I'm so clumsy, what am I going to do? We start to cycle down and down and down. So we want to stop that, break the state. So as soon as I've gone, I'm back down the mud path, and I want to change my bike back and go, no, I'm going down the grass. Then what I do is I catch myself saying that first negative thing. I go, no, stop it. And I change the band over to the other hand. Now what you're doing with that is breaking the state. I've stopped the cycles of thoughts. I've come out of the head and done something physical. Out of the head, doing something physical. That's why I can do that all day long and it'll never work. Because I can still have loads and loads of thoughts while I'm doing that. But to actually stop and do something physical is your best chance of really breaking that state. So I went down the mud path. No, I'm not doing this anymore. Changed my bike over to face the grass. And now I have to pedal. I have to build the new positive neural net. And so I say my mantra. Now it's really, really important to say your mantra of feeling. This is a vibrational universe. Have to say it with meaning. Otherwise it's like, I'm in control of my thoughts, I'm in control of my behaviour, I'm in control of my thoughts. That's like pedaling like this. It's going to take me a very, very long time to build that neural net. Where with feeling, with belief, fake it till you make it, I'm going to build that neural net faster, harder, pedaling like the wind, if you like. And so, the best mantra that I've ever found is, I am in control of my thoughts, I am in control of my behaviour. Now, that works because think about it. Just spend a moment, let's close our eyes and just think, how fabulous would your life be if you were really in control of all of your thoughts and really, therefore, in control of all of your behaviour? Let's just spend a moment thinking about relationships, work, giving up smoking, with your kids, your hobbies, anything you can think of, any aspect in your life where you make a decision but it doesn't quite happen, or you can't control the thinking. But if you were in control of your thoughts and you were in control of your behaviour, how fabulous would your life look? Just spend a few moments thinking about that. And so it seems like a program that we really want to have, doesn't it? Wouldn't you want that to be your first thought? I am in control of my thoughts. I am in control of my behaviour. Believing is seeing. What would I see in my life? I would see a fantastic life. When I make a decision, it works. I can overcome any habit I want because I'm in control. No one's forcing the cigarette in my mouth. I'm in control. If I say no, I mean no, and therefore the behaviour follows. So it's a very, very powerful program to have running on the computer of your mind. And it's the mantra I give to everyone because it's so general, it works for everything. So all day, every day, when I'm catching myself thinking, seeing, saying something negative and I'm doing my band exercise, what I'm really doing is building that neural net really quickly, really strongly, and therefore I must see the change in my life. It's pure physics, pure physics. Do the work, get the results. So I'm going to leave that there for today. I hope I've given you at least some really good basics, a really strong foundation from which to do all our other work together. So enjoy. So if you've enjoyed what I've talked about today, that's just the beginning. There are plenty more goodies in this book, Tour the Core, The Pathway to a Positively Joyous Life, which is the handbook for the positive thinking courses that I teach around London. Please see my website, www.positivelyjoyous.com, for all the details of the classes, courses and retreats that I teach around London. And also please subscribe, because I'm going to keep sending out little videos, little gems for coaching and mindfulness, spirituality, and of course the Course in Miracles. Thank you for your attention. Have a brilliant